Coming up, flooding at the Fishing Hole Road again today, but the Minister of State for Grand Bahamas says relief is in sight. Also, a heated situation at the Department of Social Services. And a not-guilty plea from a man caught on viral video attacking a mentally challenged man. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Rowe-Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, a deep low-pressure system north of the Bahamas continues to impact the weather on Grand Bahama. Rough surf and high winds leading to flooding once again at the Fishing Hole Road. This morning, traffic came to a halt on the main thoroughfare that connects Freeport to West Grand Bahama as the road became impassable. Tonight, the Minister of State for Grand Bahama says it is an issue they hope to soon rectify. It is a very familiar and frustrating situation for those who traverse the western part of Grand Bahama. This Wednesday morning, as the winds picked up, the Fishing Hole Road became flooded, leaving residents stranded for some time on both sides of the road, some say for over an hour. It was hoped that the causeway that was under construction from 2015 would fix this vexing problem once and for all. Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, says a marine watch and special warning for Grand Bahama, particularly the Fishing Hole Road, was issued by the Met Office, as he admits that the causeway has a specific challenge as a result of Hurricane Dorian.
As you know, the Fishing Hole Road bridge has been in process since 2015. Actually, the bridge was completed in September of 2019. And we all know what took place in September of 2019. So just prior to the storm, we were planning the opening of the Fishing Hole Road causeway. It was completed before the storm.
But he notes that after the storm, the causeway had to be assessed by engineers. And while the structure has no major damage, the approach causeway does.
Just as a visual, persons would be able to see that the asphalt that was on the approach was unfortunately washed away as a result of the storm. We know that there has been a delay in terms of the actual repair. But one of the things that we have to do is when we look at repairing facilities, we have to repair these facilities to be more resilient as further storms come.
Thompson says the most resilient process has been determined and approved by government. He says a contractor has been selected and believes that relief is in sight.
So that process now is moving ahead, I think, rather quickly. The Ministry of Works had already presented their proposal. They have already chosen the contractor, and the project has been approved. So we believe the next step obviously would be for that contractor to be mobilized and then for the contractor to move forward. So we expect in the very near future to have that work started and completed.
He was unable to give a specific completion date. In other news, a heated situation outside the offices of the Department of Social Services today as persons showing up for assistance were turned away. This didn't sit well with those seeking assistance. They claim that they are just tired of being turned around. Natalia Hall has this report.
Residents stood in line in the rain outside of the Social Services Department, located in the Sun Plaza, demanding answers from officials at the department. But officers stood guard at the door of the department, telling residents that they were not going to be allowed in. Teacher Emily Apia says from last week Tuesday, she's been trying to receive assistance, but was told by officials that they are only seeing 20 persons per day. She says she returned to the department early the following morning and was told the same thing. Apia says on Thursday, she was given an appointment and was told to return this week, but once again, she was turned away.
I reached here 8:45, 9, and they've already taken in 50 people. And those of us who are supposed to be seen today, we are still outside. It's raining. Empty spaces in there, and we are outside. It's raining. And we are outside.
Patricia Mackey says she's been trying to get assistance with her power bill from last week.
They told me to come in this morning.
What were you told?
I can't get in. They need to let everyone in. After the hurricane in Nassau, they let everyone into the building with numbers. That's what they need to do.
Robert Ferguson sharing a similar story. He says he was turned away multiple times.
Big carnival of their words. Because they tell me I must come back here. I've been on my bed from 4 o'clock last week, Wednesday. When they come, they say, we ain't taking nobody for this day. Give me a day. I asked them, give me a day. They say, come back Wednesday, right? I come back Wednesday here now, and they tell me, they done got all the people what they're saving.
And Maxine Barrows says she is not impressed with the level of service provided by employees at the department.
They just need to get a system that works. Because every day you come out here, it's the same confusion. People waiting from 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you're not told until 9, 10 o'clock that you're not going to be seen. That's ridiculous. That's inhumane.
Our news team, in search of answers, attempted to gain access to the Social Services Department, but we were denied entry by the officers and were told that the head of the department is on vacation.
Things has to be open. Accountability is very important.
That's why I'm inviting you to contact whoever's in charge and to speak to the Like I said to you, if I do that for them, then I should have done it for you.
No. They ain't coming here for anything. They are not coming here for anything. So you see what's going on.
Now, these residents say it is unfortunate that they are forced to stay outside the department in weather conditions such as this, and they are calling on the powers that be to rectify the situation as soon as possible. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Now, our ZNS News team did reach out to the minister responsible for social services, the Honorable Frankie Campbell, and he says he is aware of the situation and apologized to the residents of Grand Bahama and others who were affected by Hurricane Dorian for any additional inconvenience caused by the Social Services Department.
I'm pleased to advise residents that effective Monday, 27th of January, both in Grand Bahama and Abaco, there will be at least one person, but I'm asking for 2 persons to be available whose job it will be solely to receive applications and requests from persons seeking hurricane relief from social services, and those persons will be available to receive those requests from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, on a first-come, first-served basis.
Now, he says once a separation is made of those receiving regular assistance from those seeking hurricane assistance, then they should be able to eliminate the confusion and alleviate the load on the department.
In those instances, and I don't want those cases to be impeded or the speed slowed down because of other normal day-to-day basis. So I'm asking for a separation, that persons who are seeking hurricane-related relief, that they will know that there are persons solely assigned to their concerns, while other persons who have the regular daily requests will go to another section. And so I think that separation will facilitate the kind of speed that is necessary for a shorter turnaround time.
Switching gears now, the Grand Bahama Utility Company receiving criticisms as well for the water quality post-Hurricane Dorian. Tonight, company officials are giving an update and note that a return to pre-Dorian salinity levels remain a top priority. Megan Shepard reports.
Some 4 months post-Hurricane Dorian and a major necessity in everyday life continues to be an issue for Grand Bahamians. Director of Group Corporate Affairs in the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Filcher Grant, addressing the quality of water on the island. She notes that 50% of the wells that were affected during the monster storm have been repaired.
Of that target, we require 85% of those to be potable in order for us to achieve island-wide potable water. Today, we are 25% toward that target, and we have a twofold plan on how we plan on achieving the remaining 75%. One is the addition of new wells, potable wells into our system. Second is the intentional and systematic flushing of existing wells. We've created a strategic plan that takes into consideration all of the components involved. We estimate that in order to achieve island-wide water potability will take us an additional 10 weeks, which leads us into the first week of May. We've sourced an independent lab that will verify and validate our findings. That lab is EPA certified.
Now, although residents are frustrated with the current condition of the water, Grant notes that the restoration of potable water as effectively and as safely as possible is a top priority of the Port Authority. Utility Engineering Manager Remington Wilshcombe says that the utility company has put in place mechanisms that are designed to prevent this problem in the future.
Part of the restoration involves technology. That technology is going to help us in determining the recovery rate of the well field by monitoring it in a smart way. Also, we're going to build in resiliency in the assets and the reconstruction of the plants and the well fields. We're still evaluating the most cost-effective approach to take to this restoration.
Grant adds that the Port Authority is committed to communicating with the public every step of the way. She also offered a clarification on the state of water at the moment.
I think we've used the term salt contamination in the public, and I think that's given a false narrative of the safety components or hazards of the water. The correct term would be salt intrusion, which means that it is safe for most users, just not drinking at the moment.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
A local businessman is up in arms expressing frustration over repeated break-ins. He says poor lighting in the area is making them a target. General Manager of Spartan's construction company, Deshaun Smith, says since Hurricane Dorian, his business, which is off Queens Highway, has yet to have their streetlights restored. This challenge, he adds, seems to be good news for criminals who have been targeting several businesses in that area.
In recent weeks, I know we've had several items go missing from vehicles and materials in the yard. So we started doing checks on the property and we noticed breaches in the fencing. So we kind of heightened our security in terms of our security cameras. We have an alarm system in place, but we had a major theft recently that made us kind of stepped up our efforts in terms of what was going on. So we spoke to some of the other business owners in the area and realized that they were having similar instances as well on their properties.
And get this, after adjusting his surveillance equipment, the thief was caught on camera.
Basically, you'd see an individual reversing a vehicle at night onto a property that was locked by chain link fence, padlock, as well as opening a container that we had on property, also padlocked, and removing some equipment and materials from the property in the middle of the night, roughly around 12 a.m. in the morning.
He says some $4,000 to $6,000 worth of merchandise have been stolen, and he's warning other business owners in the area to be aware.
The appeal is just to be vigilant, invest in the security because it's going to be beneficial to protecting your business, and try to safeguard your property as much as possible to reduce that element of theft.
What is the police saying?
I think the police right now are doing a pretty good job of handling the situation. They were very responsive when we'd call them to file a complaint with what happened to us. And since then, they've been giving us some communication that they're looking into the situation and have some good leads. So that's very promising to hear.
Well, in news from the crime beat, the man recorded on camera punching a mental patient had his day in court today. 31-year-old Wayne Garrett Barr of Cocoa Plum Street in Piners Loop pleading not guilty to the charge of causing harm before Deputy Chief Magistrate Debbie Ferguson. He elected to have the matter heard in the magistrate court. Bail was denied and Barr was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services until trial. Now, the case was adjourned to March 25th. You may recall that Barr was featured in a video that went viral earlier this week. He could be seen punching Carlos Gibson to the ground inside a business establishment. Well, since then, the owner of the business establishment issued a statement noting that they were appalled by the video and are not associated with Barr's behavior. They say Barr is no longer affiliated with the business Cutting Styles Barbershop. Barr turned himself into police on Monday evening after that video went viral. Two Dominican nationals and a Haitian national were arraigned before Magistrate Charlton Smith in Freeport's magistrate court with illegal landing. They were convicted and fined $300 or in default, ordered to serve 1 month at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. Immigration officials tell us that officers arrested the trio during an intelligence-led operation this week on Piners Way. The three claimed that they entered the country illegally by boat in December of last year and remained here without legal immigration status. Erica turning attention to children's programming on television. That story and more when we come back.